Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Smite Pro League. Gandhi, joined by Dry Bear. We're getting ready to go into the North American side of things. Dry Bear, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Gandhi?
I'm good. We have one hell of a first matchup here. We have Dignitas taking on Cognitive Red. Now, this is really big, too.
This is like a repeat, right, of the NA kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
And the record was 3-1 Cog Red at the kickoff. So how is this going to turn out?
Well, interestingly enough, we're actually seeing as Dignitas has the lead over Cognitive Red. They did get that combat DQ coming into this one, and they did win that first game, even though Cognitive Red did have a little bit of an early lead here. But so as we go ahead and get into the picks and bans, no shocker that we're going to see Thor banned immediately by Dignitas.
Thor gone away. You don't want to give that to Gars.
You can't.
Too strong there. Giannis is going to be banned out as well. This is going to be more of a Divios ban, though we have seen a lot of tier from Divio, some different styles in the solo lane. Agni banned out in response, though.
Yeah, well, what's the deal with the Agni ban out here?
Well, a lot of it comes down to the fact that Agni is very bursty, right? So you're going to have Gnaw coming in the mid lane. He's been playing a fantastic Agni. He's also very safe, and I think that works well for Gnaw. The fact that he's kind of coming into fights that's raw, kind of slow, Vulcan kind of slow. Agni's like, oh, I'm in trouble. Bye.
Yeah, and you know, with Noxious Fumes just being able to light up everything and cause a stun, I mean, it makes him a very, very safe god. And so, no shocker here, Geb's going to get instant locked in here for Team Dignitas. This is going to give them a lot of peel and plus a hell of an initiation.
I like it because Eonic has been doing so fantastically with Geb. The Geb influence from Cog Red allows the aggression from Snoopy to work well, Divios to work well, Boosh is incredibly safe as well. The fact that Geb can cleanse with that Stone Shield, keep you from being knocked up at all, which also kind of plays into the picks as well. So locking this in, taking away Thor, taking it away Giannis makes it, this is 100% respect.
Now, this is the thing that's so interesting. Oh, it's actually a Circuit ban.
Oh,
it's switched up there.
1,000 times more sense.
Yeah, that's
like, literally, it makes so much more sense. It hurts.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, well, why isn't Circuit being banned?
Especially against Lassus.
But, you know, one thing we got to talk about here for Cognitive Red is even though you get rid of Thor, which is the respect ban, you're like, okay, you know what, Gars, you're amazing with him. We're getting him out of there. That still frees up the double Rs. And Cognitive Red, I think that's why they're so dominant, because people are afraid to ban Ra from them.
Well, the thing about Ra is that you get a lot of healing, a lot of damage simultaneously. When you build damage, you get healing from it. And the more Ra gets ahead, he builds that gap of, you know, if you're even with Ra, he does some amount of damage, not enough to kill you, but a lot of healing and slowing. But if he's ahead, he does way more damage than you do, heals way more than you can ever damage him, and he has a slow and a blind. So it makes it difficult. We're finally going to see Hun Bots locked in here, and I like this because Gars' backup is Hun Bots.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that we haven't actually seen Lassus use Hun Bots like in forever. Same with Gars, and Gars is 5-0 with Hun Bots, and I believe Lassus is like 4-1, maybe even 4-0 with the god as well. So very, very strong. We're also going to be seeing a Bacchus.
That's right.
So they're going to be looking for the belly flop. The thing about Bacchus is you can never count out the steals. I think that's what put Jeff Hinla on the map, was the Bacchus.
Well, you look at characters like Kumba, or you look at characters like Ares that have the knockup immunity while they're channeling Groggy Strike or Searing Flesh. It's very easy for them to avoid the knockup, but they don't have any of that here, so Geb can be interrupted. Scylla, I love the fact that Scylla's being picked. I love this character so much. One of my personal favorites, and the fact that she really has that kind of... We saw this in the qualifiers for the Pro League, that if you get one small window and you get a good I am a monster out, you can turn the whole fight on its head.
Well, that's the kind of the thing that's like why kind of pros kind of steer away from her so far in the Pro League, is that I am a monster does so much damage, but it's so difficult to actually hit. And looking at the synergy of the team, is she just going to be relying on the Cataclysm from Geb to kind of initiate it with it?
Well, you have the great stun from Nuwa, you have a good slow from Bastat, you have a great stun from Ul, and then of course Geb with the knockup and the stun itself. I think there's going to be enough here, but I think the reason that Scylla isn't picked as much is that her early game damage is weak, and she has a weak laning phase. She can be punished pretty easily, and since her late game damage got nerfed about 2-3 months ago, it's not really worth sacrificing early game to have a equal late game with other mages, and so sometimes you don't really see her being picked up. But if you put her in the solo lane, that counters that, right? Because you're going to go in the solo lane, you're going to be going up against a Chang'e, which Chang'e is very safe, but also her push is rather moderate, and so Scylla's going to be able to keep up with that. Now she has to worry about the heals. One of her worst matchups is going to be Ra and Chang'e because of the heal, so we'll see how Shang reacts to that. I mean, the push, yes, but the heal makes it difficult.
Well, when you look at it here, you do have Lassus on Bastat. Okay, now Lassus has seen a little bit of success with him. We haven't seen him only played, I think, once, I believe, correct? I think he's only brought him in
once, yep.
Yeah, Bastat once. So looking at it, I mean, the initiation from Bastat isn't bad into the laning phase, but is it going to be enough to take out Chang'e in the solo lane? Because I'm assuming you kind of got to wait to get so online, right?
Well, it depends on what Divius decides to buy. And the biggest thing about Bastet, and one of the reasons why, actually one of the express reasons why Sprint was nerfed previously when it had movement speed immunity on all levels, is because of Bastet. So if you're able to get that tier 2 Sprint early, which I imagine Divios would want to, just to prevent the slowing from Bastet, it means you can pop the Sprint and get back to your tower. But if you're slowed for any way, Bats is going to sit on top of you and do so much damage you can't deal with it. So it comes down to how well you can deal with it. And I had the same concerns for Boosh in the mid lane.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and hop into game here. On the blue side of things, we have Team Dignitas. It's going to be Na in the mid lane, Lassus in the jungle, Xing in your solo lane with the Soa, Zapman and Dare to Care in the duo lane. In the red side of things, Cognitive Red, Snoopy, and that is going to be Ionic in the duo lane, Divios in the solo, Gars bringing out Hunbets in the jungle, and then the Boosh with his trademark god being Ra.
You know, you saw a very curious thing from Cog Red in the beginning of the game. You saw all 5 members from Cog Red run up to that left side blue camp all at once and then immediately turn around and leave. What they were looking for there is a lot of times you see Geb. Derek Care was actually a little bit late out of the base, and so if he was as fast as supports normally are, Cog Red would have 5-manned him, caught him, and killed him. And what you see all the time from Order is a support will run up the left side of the map, put a ward down in front of the blue buff, and then go back to the base. And they won't do it in a very safe way because they're not used to being invaded. So what Cog Red was looking for there is just an easy way to jump onto Derek Care, get the free kill, and take something down, and then run back to the base. If they didn't get it, and this is what we're seeing a lot from teams now and more, is that if they don't get the early invade, they disappear immediately.
And you can actually see on the right side of your screen here, in between the Fire Giant and where you're seeing Dignitas set up for the mid Harpies, there's actually going to be a ward there, which is going to give them vision just in case there is going to be an invade. And Lassus looks to be going in here. Will he be able to get the steal? The speed buff's going to be close.
Oh, he wasted too much time. The Bass set jump back. Only has a certain amount of time before you can jump back there, and he was a little bit early on the fire. So he's got to go back. Of course, and I love the fact that Cog Red didn't care too much. I mean, they didn't leash it. They didn't run. They realized it was just Lassus. Don't, overreact to it. And this really shows why Cog Red is a top team right now, is because they have the discipline and focus to not overreact to things.
Now, talk to me a little bit about this Ra versus Nuwa matchup. They both have insane wave clear, but I feel like Nuwa is a little bit stronger earlier.
Well, it's going to be coming down to how well Boosh can stay away from the minions, right? And then one of the reasons why Agni has a great matchup against Nuwa is because you can dash away from the minions, prevent yourself from taking that magic protection reduction, and also the explosion from the shining metal. So Boosh is going to be able to sit back here, put the heals down, keep his minions alive, and I think this is going to be a rather even matchup between Nuwa and Ra, especially the way Boosh plays. Is that, level 5, level 6, both characters will be able to clear the wave very effectively and very efficiently, and Boosh will be safe from the burst from Nuwa.
And as we take a look here, we are going to be seeing Lassus is going to go Bombas here, so we're going to see a lot of camp splitting here, which has really kind of been the traditional way we're seeing North America start playing mid lane here. We see him start splitting the back camps as well as the red, and sometimes even the speed.
The style before was actually running over to the mid camps with the solo in the mid, doing the blue buff with the jungler and the solo, and then going into lane while the damage buff was soloed by the jungler on the other side.
What
the difference is the fact that, now if you switch it over, you're not really sacrificing early push in the solo lane and not putting them into a tough spot, but they've actually swapped up their hunter into the solo lane.
This is a little bit curious here. We're actually seeing Xing go into the duo lane, a.k.a. the long lane here, which is going to be with Dare to Care. And then in the right lane, we have going to be Zapman as Uller. Now, what's funny is I was just talking about it. I was like, wouldn't Uller make a pretty decent solo laner just because, when you look at it, when you switch stance, he's able to have a stun. He has a speed boost as well. It would theoretically work out.
Well, there's a lot of solo laners that work. Apollo and AMC both work very well. Ull also works pretty well in the solo lane. The issue is that the first 3 or 4 levels are very weak. And so what they did here is they realized that Chang'e versus Scylla does not favor Scylla very much, just because of the healing. Scylla has one spell that'll clear the wave, and that's it. Throw the crush out. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, she healed. I've got nothing left to push with. And so Scylla's weak matchup against Chang'e kind of baited into Cog Red, and Dig swapped it up just so they can get extra golden farm experience onto Zapman, and then kind of foster Xing until late game when, I'm a Monster makes a big difference.
Well, Lassus and Na both going back to the fountain here, which is going to give them both beads. And now they're going to set up and prepare for these Harpies that are going to be coming up at around 3:15. That is where you're going to be focusing your attention on here. This is going to be the first really big engagement.
Well, they're moving over to the mid camps. The right side looks like it's going to be secured here by Cog Red. The left camp is spawning up. It's a 3-minute timer on these, so they will come back every 3 minutes. It's be 3 minutes and 15 seconds. They're up on the board. Bastet jumping over side. Last is not going to get any of those. Actually, let that one fall. Left side looks like it might be going to Cog Red as well. Will they get both?
I think they did. There's absolutely no ward coverage here from Dignitas. So just like that, we're starting to see a slight lead here coming out in favor of Cognitive Red after that. As we take a look at the graphs, that's only going to be about a 330 gold difference, but it's an 800 XP difference.
Yeah, the XP tells a big story here. As you can see in the jungle, the Gars sitting at 644 XP per minute, 629 for Divios, and Zatman's actually keeping up pretty effectively here, but a lot of the members on Cog Red are in the lead for XP per minute, and a lot of it's going to come down to the fact that they rotated less, they didn't have that swap, and they also got the mid camp. So mid camp's worth about 140 experience, 90 gold, and so splitting that between 1 or 2 people is very effective.
Now they're going to go ahead and push this mid wave here, which basically tells to me that they're probably going to split the speed buff and the back harps here coming out of Cognitive Red, which is a good play out of them. But the one thing I want to ask you, Divios, okay, he went with the uncommon sash instead of getting, level 2 boots. Is that just because he wanted to get an active online as well as a ward?
Well, he also knows that he's not really threatened in this lane. He's going to have movement speed increase when he does his throat ability. He's got the immunity on his 2, moves back to the tower, and so, he's not really feeling a whole lot of pressure from Zatman. He's not going to have any kill potential there. In fact, Zatman has to worry about how far he steps out of bounds with that waxing moon online, and then he realizes that, coming from the jungle, it's going to be Bastet, but he has the ability to move away from that as well, especially with the AoE stun. He's going to stun out the cats, he's going to stun out Last, he's going to stun out Zatman. So he's saying, you know what, why not rush my 100 stack item as fast as I can get it up and get those stacks ready to go?
And the one thing you really got to note here is the simple fact that Uller and Chang'e are just neck and neck. There is only 8 gold separating these 2 gods, as Gars is in a position to possibly go in here. He's just going to go ahead and push the wave here with Divios, and it looks like they're going to rotate back.
Well, you can see their XP per minute is pretty close as well. Zatman actually the highest in the game right now as far as how well he's able to, move back and forth between the jungle and into the solo. And you see Divio's taking a big chunk of Zatman's health while simultaneously healing himself. And that just comes down to Zatman's a great farmer. I mean, he fits well in the solo role while playing one of his favorite gods.
And, Zatman's had a rough couple of games here in the SPL. He really needed to find something of comfort here, which I don't know if the solo lane is necessarily it, but, he's kind of used to it anyway, just because after about the 6-minute mark, hunters are traditionally left by themselves in duo lane anyways.
Yeah, that's right. And he's pretty safe in this. I mean, he's got to jump. It's a pretty short lane, and hunters are used to giant lanes they have to run across, versus this one, he doesn't really have much to go before he gets back to the tower and sits safe. Currently, he's going to be sitting on Devourer's Gauntlet, as he's actually tied with Snoopy across the way for the amount of stacks that he's able to build up here. So he's got lifesteal, he's got clear, he's got blue buff. It's right in his pocket. He's not really feeling the heat too much.
Yannick going for some super aggressive wards. He's going to get knocked up by Dare to Care. There's probably going to be no follow-up, but you can see Cog Red starting to group. They know if this is a team fight, this is going to result in a Gold Fury if they win it. Yannick's going to get stunned. He's going to take a little bit of damage, but not enough to see Dignitas go ahead and engage. Dare to Care looking to get something started, though.
Shockwave coming out there, not going to land on Snoopy. I'm really surprised to see Gars playing so passive early, especially as Hoon Boss with how much gold he's able to pick up.
And this is actually also interesting here. As you notice, this is going to be the second rotation of Harpies that Dignitas is actually going to miss out on this as well. So the experience is really the only thing we can really take from this game so far. Both teams truly respecting one another, but it's a 1,400 experience difference.
Yeah, and then 800 gold as well. I mean, they're missing a lot of free things. On the right side, we're going to see Gars coming over here.
Yep, and Gars, this should be first blood here. Zatman's trying to stay alive. Fear no evil's going to be there. Divios is going to pick that up. That's a great first blood. And now they also get that entire wave, as we are going to see Lassus be a little bit late to the party. He's going to be able to soak up a little bit of the experience, but that's about it.
Last is coming over to defend this tower here. He really has to. I mean, that's the thing you're looking at. He can't really leave this open. Now, in the aftermath of that first blood, Chang'e has now to finish that Warlock Sash he was building earlier. Going to start building a lot of HP. And at this point, as the stacks start to roll in, Zatman has 0 kill potential in this lane. And Lassus is understanding that as well. He's not really spending a whole lot of time trying to take out Chang'e. He realizes it's not an easy target for him, so he's pressuring the mid and long lane a lot, but nothing's really coming of it. So with that first blood and the 2 sets of gold of the gold camps in the mid, they're up 1,600 gold.
Now, are we going to see Dignitas just go ahead and say, okay, listen, Shang, you're online now, you're level 9. Granted, you don't have Bancrofts up yet, but theoretically, you should have it done relatively soon. We want you to go up against Chang'e. Are we going to see that rotation, or is he just going to stay in his own little island.
I think they might stay, because we're at the point, right, where the long lane is left alone anyway. And so either way, you're playing solo. It just depends on who you're up against, as Garz gets jumped on there in the mid lane a little bit.
Yep, and there's going to be a complete disengage. So you don't see any way that Scylla is going to just rotate out?
I don't think so. I think this is going to be completely open. Now, either it's going up against Rom or it's going up against Chang'e. Either way, Scylla doesn't really have too much to worry about. I think the one thing that's going to hurt Xing in this situation is that you're going to miss out on a lot of free experience.
Yep. Ullr going to go ahead and spot Divios there in the jungle, as now we're going to see Ionic push this up again. Keep in mind the next set of Harpies are going to be up at around 9:45 here, which will be the next main point where they have to be forced to engage. And right now it's kind of like, okay, let's go ahead and feel each other out. We don't want to get any ballsy here. We have first blood. We're playing very slow. And I think that's in part of the reason why Cognitive Red has been coming into games super cocky. They've just kind of been blowing everything up, and they're just like, screw it, we'll dive. We're Cog Red. Who cares?
Well, looking at Zapman's build, as we target onto him, you're going to see that he actually does not have exposed weakness or invigorate leveled yet. So he doesn't have his movement speed increase when he's switching into axe stance. He's going to have a lot more damage on his bladed arrows and his hail of arrows, but he's missing that movement speed increase. He also won't have the bonus damage increase when he activates it in bow stance. So he's just going all the way into ability damage. My question is, will he go for a double stack with a Transcendence? Usually we see Ulls picking up hard damage rather than the lifesteal.
Now, Transcendence, correct me if I'm wrong, is like pretty much the standard build for Ullr.
Yes.
So you would assume that it would be that one.
Well, I think he was worried about taking a lot of damage from Chang'e in the solo lane, so maybe picking the lifesteal allows him to sit here longer. He's going to try and look for some pressure here, and I like the choice. I think he needs to put Divios into a back burner for a little while and maybe hope to rotate to mid lane.
Well, speaking of mid lane here, Dignitas was able to get their first set of Harpies since the beginning of the game here, but they only got the left side with Cognitive Red taking the right side. We could see a big rotation coming out of Cognitive Red, and that's exactly what it's going to be. Eyes on Garz. He does have Fear No Evil up. This could be a kill here on Dare to Care, as we are seeing Xing play very, very safe. Snoopy knows he's in a good position. Are they going to dive, though? I mean, this is really just feeling each other out the entire time, and now Naw's like, guys, there's no one in the mid lane. I'm not sure what they're doing.
Well, Garz also has Purification Bead, so if they jump on him, he'll get able to pop it and pop his ultimate immediately. I don't see a whole lot of turnaround opportunity for Dignitas as Na goes back to the mid lane. The Gold Fury is standing, though, Gandhi. I think this is a really big opportunity for Cog Red. They just need a single pick to do it.
Yeah, and they have the vision to do so as well, but I think they're afraid of throwing their lead, as now a Sentry Ward's going to be their last, is going to be able to take that up as well. So good job by the counter ward there from Dignitas to really get things online, as we're going to see Divios head back. And just taking a look at the net worth there, no shocker at all. Chang'e almost 6,000 total gold in pocket. Not in pocket, but that she's earned thus far. 6,000 in gold pocket would be pretty, pretty impressive.
That's pretty darn good.
I don't even know if that's possible at this point.
Well, it depends on how much you hold on to.
I decided to buy nothing.
Oh, man. Look at the itemization here. We can see a lot of Tier 1 actives. No one really committing too hard. We're going to see Ionic does have Tier 3 Hand of the Gods. Of course, the supports on either side will have the Tier 3, just making sure that they don't miss any opportunities to go for those objectives. Tier 3, greater purification for Lassus, looking for the CD reduction as well as the cleansing. Now, you're looking across the way. You're going to have Fear No Evil from Hoombots. Big, big ultimate there. You have Chang'e with the multiple stuns. If the last person stunned from Chang'e's Waxing Moon, it's 4 or 5 seconds of stun. It's a long time to sit still. Plus, he's got the slow from Ra, and of course the stun knock-up slow from Bacchus.
Now, Dare to Care has spent a lot of money on wards and sentry wards here, and as you're taking a look at his build, he does have the minus boots on there. He does have the first one of Iron Mail, but that's really it. Like, normally we see Blink 1 online, and he's actually placed 8 wards. Thank you for that. This is my first time with the new UI. It's fancy.
It's good. So, yeah, 8 wards placed down by Dare to Care. That's a lot of wards.
Oh, it's insane.
I mean, you see below that's going to be the support at Ionic at 5 and then Na with 5. So, he's just covering this map in wards. And again, Zapman getting aggressive on the right side. I like the fact that he's just kind of pushing Divios. At that point, he's going to start doing a lot more damage, and Divios' damage is kind of over time, right? It's just like, I use an ability, I step back. I use an ability, I step back. Whereas Ull's like, I dump everything, I throw an axe in your head, and I try to kill you.
Yeah, and Dignitas actually just got sight. They saw, they should have seen that Hunbats was going to be able to come into the solo lane here on Zapman, which meant they could have theoretically went for the Gold Fury here, but they're still being very respectful, as we are going to see Ionic could contest this, but he says, there's 3 of them, I want no piece of that.
Well, everything's warded up. There's a sentry on top of Gold Fury. One of the reasons why Rom is so good on the Gold Fury is that he is able to go up in the air and shoot at it from the lane, possibly have some rotation as Dare to Care looks to poke him down. Now, the right camp was actually secured by Cog Red. Lassus jumped in trying to steal it away, but he was unable to do so. Look at that animation here. Divine Ruin is active right now for Nah. We have a possible, it looks like it's going to be actually a Book of Thoth for Xing in the solo/long lane role.
Yeah, which makes sense just because Nua, the thing about Ra is, his heal is so underrated until you're going against him, right? Like, you always forget about it. You're like, oh, he's got the laser, Searing Pain, lights me on fire, but oh, wait, his health, he doesn't die, and his teammates don't die. So Divine Ruin's one of the only ways to really counter that. Is Snoopy's going to take a decent amount of damage there from Crush, and Xing's going to feel a little bit more confident out of that exchange, but still no rotation out of him. And, I mean, Sella's a ways away from doing any kind of crazy damage.
Well, the thing I like about teams now are starting to realize that, Nuwa can actually deliver debuffs very easily. Pop the ultimate, drop it down. The fact that the Fire Star's source actually gives you on-hit effects from magic, it allows you to just pick up Divine Ruin, ult, and for 8 seconds, everyone in the enemy team will have 40% reduced healing. That is huge for a team that has Ra and Chang'e together, plus a life-stealing Rom with a fully stacked Devourer's Gauntlet. It's going to prevent a lot of the self-healing that comes out. And I think teams are realizing more and more the effect that healing can have on a team fight. And, unless you just sit down and count the numbers of how much health they got back, it really doesn't put it into perspective.
Well, it looks like we're getting ready for a fight here at the speed buff. Cognitive Red has gotten every single one. The Boosh is going to be in position. In comes Ionic. He's going to jump up, and Toxic is going to be there. Is the Boosh going to go for the snipe? Ionic taking a decent amount of damage here. Xing's going to be in a little bit of trouble. In comes the heal, and now Lass is going to jump in, jump out. Garz is going to follow up, and Searing Pain misses everyone. So that is going to be a complete disengage, but will it result in a Gold Fury? And it did. So during that time, Snoopy was actually able to acquire that one as well, so they end up taking a lead.
We saw a fight go down to the right lane as well. Divios and Zatman still going at it here. The Gold Fury will be secured by Cog Red. That's a big gain for them, especially given, left side Xing's in trouble here.
He might be okay. He might be okay.
Helps to blink.
Yeah, it does help to blink, which I'm still so... okay, Snoop-a-loop! I don't think anyone was expecting Snoopy to just take to the sky, especially after his interesting Vulcan play last night.
I think most people just don't expect him to actually do that much damage. I mean, it rains down from above, and that Astral Barrage, that hurts. And I think even Xing was sitting there like, yeah, he doesn't have enough.
Hashtag nerf.
It's not enough.
Hashtag nerf.
That's right. The next patch, he will be dropping down on that ultimate.
I wonder what kind of effect that's going to have. I still think he's top tier by far, just because of his wave clear, right?
I think it's just going to balance it out a little bit. As he does a lot of damage, very strong late game carry. Snoopy getting engaged on. Does he have the cats? He does not have the cats right now. So
he doesn't have the cats.
I don't know if he's going to be able to secure this one. Rotation coming out from Ionic, looking for initiation. The Gold Fury is dead. There's nothing to fight over right now.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing to fight over, and I don't even know if Dignitas knows that because there's no vision on there, and Lassus is going to find Snoopy here, but he's not going to go in on this. Na's going to be in the mid lane, and this is going to be a full rotation over here. Cognitive Red has been predominantly in 2 to 3 man groups at all times. Do you like the decision?
I love it. I mean, honestly, it's working out. Look at the gold numbers right now. They're currently sitting at 3,100 gold in the lead, 4,400 experience. They've gotten every single set of mid camps. They got the Gold Fury, and they're not losing really anything in towers. The only person that has to stay in their lane is Divios, and he's doing that incredibly well. You can see that the mid tower and left tower for Cog Red are unscathed, whereas the left side tower is dropping low. And so, the fact that they're moving well enough to put pressure onto Dig, and it's kind of that mentality of deterrence, right? If you don't know where they are, you're afraid to do anything.
The one thing that's absolutely hysterical as we take a look at the stats here is going to be Ullr's damage. He's done almost double the amount of damage of everyone, and as you take a look in the right lane, you can just see Divios is full health.
It's the healing.
And he doesn't have a kill.
I mean, look at the self-healing so far, 3,500 for Divios. He's just keeping himself alive, but man, the damage that Zatman's putting out right now is absolutely off the charts. He's just putting wave after wave after wave of abilities into Divios' face, plus a lot of auto attacks. And you look at the build right now, he's got, across the way, he's got Executioner completed, Devourer's Gauntlet completed, a lot of damage, and all he needs now is crit.
Yeah. What is Lassus looking to finish after Jotun's? If you're going against this Cog Red team, do you worry about anything in particular?
Zatman in trouble here. Looks for the stun, but the push will take that one down. Nualta coming out. Lassus has no cats to give here.
Yeah, no cats at all. Ionic just going to go ahead. Boosh is going to get himself another kill. Are they going to continue this pain train? Looking at the ultimates here, we are going to still see Chang'e has hers as well as Snoopy and Ionic, so he Intoxicate's still on the line, which is one of those ultimates you never really think about, like, beadsing off of you.
Oh, Xing's in trouble. That's a dead Xing.
The dodge is... Oh, Snoopy. I've seen Snoopy dive towers like it's nothing, and he's going to activate the beads, and that's going to be a good play. Crush almost... If he had a little bit more damage, he would have done it, but Snoopy's going to make him pay. They're going to take a 5-0 lead, and that is going to be a 5,000 gold lead, as Ionic's going to be in behind Dare to Care. In comes the heal. The Boosh is going to be here as well. Nah might be in some trouble. This is going to be a big Celestial Beam, as he's just going to push him out of there. And meanwhile, Garz was able to pick up a tower here in right lane, pushes that wave just a little bit, and now Snoopy takes the left tower. This is working very perfectly for them.
Waxing mood. Dare to Care taking a lot of damage there from Divi.
Hoi!
And then the big boom.
They're not done yet. Ionic's going to jump in. There's going to be another kill for Divios. Dignitas all of a sudden just... It's slipping
got
away.
No mana. The cats are out. He's got nowhere to go here. He's forced into a corner, and Lassus is fighting hard. Snoopy's doing a lot of damage, though, almost taking him down. Lassus gets the kill. The Gold Fury spawning shortly. But to go back to your earlier question, Gandhi, it looks like it's going to be a Shifter's Shield. This is something I expected him to pick up just because of what he has
Well, you
now.
have no time for this real quick as we watch that man's health get depleted. Gar's going to continue to go in. Is he going to get away? Nope. So now let's hear it.
The beads,
Shifter Shield?
Shifter Shield, it's got to be.
Yep.
I mean, he's going up against the Gars. He's going up against high damage coming out from Snoopy as well. But that beads usage right there was phenomenal. And that's really what it comes down to, is that when you have Purification Beads 3, the fact that it reduces your cooldown is the biggest thing you're ever going to feel. Dropping that immediately down. And you can see, I mean, Zapman's dropped 10,000 damage this game, but it's not going to make a difference. It's always harassment on Divios. The Gold Fury's back up here. And I think with no one in place besides just Dare to Care and Xing, I don't know if they have enough to defend it.
Yeah, Dare to Care's not even going to look to challenge this at all. He's got the rollout coming in. He's going to be looking to do it, and he's just going to Oh, they reset it.
They don't have ROM. They need Snoopy for the single target damage. They didn't have enough single target DPS to take it down.
And Lass is going to do a little bit. He's going to jump in, jump out, just get a little bit of poke there, trying to push them under the tower. We do see Dare to Care is going to rotate. We still don't see Blink on him. In fact, he actually went... Okay. Well then, good for you. Good for you, Dare to Care.
What?
It's not every day that I see a non-blink Geb, right?
Well, it's against Shanga and Ra. I mean, it's a lot of healing to stop, plus the attack speed for Ram will be slowed as well. I mean, that's just going to keep everything slower. You're not going to take a little bit of damage here. There's the ultimate come out. Zatman spreading him out. Big damage. Zatman trying to get away. I'm a monster going to land.
Great
Not
play.
doing enough. New Wall ultimate coming through here. Xing forced out. The Gold Fury is still attacking as it gets leashed there. Ionic looking to continue the fight.
Yeah, Snoopy's going to take this guy. Lass is in the background. Snoopy's going to have a one-on-one up. Nope, never mind. That's going to be Divios there. Boosh is going to chase down Xing. Look at Celestial Beam just do so much damage. Dare to Care now. Will the shield protect you? Not for long. Here comes the slow. This might be it. I don't know if Dig's is a team who can recover very well from getting decided at 21 minutes.
Gold Fury standing there, going to ignore it. Go to the Fire Giant. I love the choice. There's no one on the map. No one's going to stop. You get the Fire Giant, and I honestly attribute a lot of what this is, especially that Surrender Vote coming out.
Wow.
The Scylla solo lane swap. Scylla does no damage right now. 0-3 and 0. She's done a total of 5,800 damage. She's done less than, I mean, really everyone. I mean, you look across the board, no one, I mean, she's just barely over Bacchus as far as damage dealt.
Now, here's the thing that's a little bit, well, we'll go over the stats and we'll talk about this after. But taking a look here at the player damage here, we're going to see almost 9,000 out of Snoopy, 8,700 for Degars. Divios only healing up 2,800 there for him. Healing coming out of the boost, 3,100. On the other side, the player damage, you know, we saw 10,000 out of Zapman, but he was just unable to convert any of those to kills. Went 0-4. Very tough game for him.
Well, I think what's even tougher about that is Dignitas is going to take the loss here, which means they're now tied with Snipe in the lineup.
Oh,
we have a
God, I
third
didn't even
place
think about
tie,
that.
and so they're, you know, Snipe and Dig are now both 10-8. The problem with this is Snipe plays next. And so there's one more game Snipe has to play. Now, granted, if Snipe loses this, it's even harder for Snipe, but if Snipe wins this, Dig is a game behind.
Yeah, well, we have a replay for you as the Boosh gets another highlight reel for everyone at home on Ra. No shocker here. Look at him just. He's always in perfect positioning.
Well, he's going to stack up here looking for the damage. I love the fact that he starts with Divine Light. He's going to stack it up and get his passive moving. Searing Pain point blank against Na. Watch Shing. Shing does literally no damage to Boosh, and the Divine Light kills him. Watch. Boom! Divine Light, insane amounts of damage. Last is dropping low. A few basic attacks will take this one down, and he's going to finish off the kill on Dare Decayer. But again, this is the problem with Ra. When you're tied with him, and I always say this, when you're tied with him, he does less damage than you, but he has a lot of utility.
Yep.
When he's really far ahead, he does more damage than you can ever dream of, and you can't touch him because his heals are crazy. That's what we're seeing there. Once you scale up Ra, it's over.
You really can't. What's so interesting and odd about that surrender, just by the way, obviously teams know when it's done, right? We're at that point now in the SPL. It's no longer about pride, but honestly, I would have held on to that just because I don't want to be in a position to where I want to go against Cog Red round 1 of regionals.
Right. Well,
right? 4th seed is in a very scary spot.
We'll see what they can do. Now, it also comes down to Snipe. I mean, we've got Snipe coming up next. If Snipe loses, Dignitas is still okay in that third place slot. But if Snipe wins here, they go 11-8. Dig is 10-8. And then if Dig gets another loss, of course, the problem is the last game of the SPL is Cog Prime versus Dig. And so they have that waiting for them at the end of the game.
I think actually with this as well, we actually have Cognitive Prime securing their spot as the 2nd seed. So both Cogs are going to be heading North America going into the regional event. But coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, we have Snipe taking on Team Thirst, so stick around.